And good afternoon, everybody. Once again, you're listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball. My name is Payne Patchett here for game number 8 of the 2018 Varsity Baseball season. And game number 2 of a 2-game doubleheader here between the Lake Stevens Vikings and the Mariner Marauders. In the first game, Lake Stevens beat Mariner by the score of 17-2 to get their first conference win and bring their record up to 2-5 overall, a 1-2 conference record. Now they are aiming to bring their conference record up to 500 with Justin Troya on the mound, aiming to get his first win of the year. He is 0-1 with an ERA of 5.44. He has thrown 8 innings, allowing 8 hits, 7 earned runs, has walked 10, and has struck out 4 as he'll face off against Caleb Atoig, who is once again the leadoff spot for Mariner, but this time he is the starting shortstop rather than the starting third baseman. And for both teams, the lineup has been altered a little bit. And the first pitch by Justin Troya, strike one looking to Caleb.
Oh, Justin, not bad.
And the 0-1 by Justin, swing and a miss, strike 2.
Baby, 1-2, not bad. On the line. Back on the line.
And the 0-2 pitch, and it goes above the Lake Stevens dugout.
Stick with it. Stick with it.
For an 0-2 count still, there's a little bit differences in both lineups for Lake Stevens and Mariner. The 0-2 fly ball, that's out foul. With Cameron Austin, one of the reserves, is running around behind the Lake Stevens dugout trying to see where that ball landed, where the second one landed. The 0-2 pitch, ground ball. This goes to the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko. Throw to first, a nice pick by the first baseman, Will Wentz. For out number 1, Will Wentz, the winning pitcher from yesterday, from game number 1, even though he only threw 1 inning. And it will bring up Ryan Aceto, who will be the starting center fielder instead of the starting first baseman. First pitch, low for a ball 1. Aceto, he went 0 for 2 as he struck out swinging, flew out to the left fielder Ben Pizer, and was walked on 5 pitches as he played both first base and was pitching for Mariner in game 1. The 1-0 pitch upstairs for a ball 2. And Justin, the 2-0. Yeah, strike 1 looking. And the Mariner dugout trying to imitate Bryce Mefford's iconic mating call. He just does that every time. Just randomly. The 2-1. Ground ball, a nice snag by Connor Bardu, the third baseman. Throw to first is in time. For the second out of the first inning, he'll bring up the number 3 hitter and the starting pitcher, number 24, Elijah White, who was starting behind the plate back in game number 1. And the starting lineup for the Mariner Marauders, it is Atoig, Aceto, and White. The starting catcher is number 5, Zachary Graham. The second baseman is Anthony Lopez. At third base is number 17, Jorge Urrutia. First pitch, a strike 1 looking. Urrutia, it was interesting. He was neither in the lineup nor as a reserve in game 1. It looked like he just showed up at the end of the first game. The 0-1, swing and a miss, strike 2. And then there's left fielder Joseph Adi. It is Pacheco Trenton playing at right field and Alex Way playing at first base. So it looks like that Ryan Otto is switching a bunch of players in different positions for game number 2. The 0-2 pitch, this one getting into the gap in right center. As it'll be a 2-out single. No, Elijah White going to second base. The throw cut off by the second baseman, Ethan Jansen. As Elijah White looked like it was a gamble going for 2, but it pays off for him. It'll be a 2-out double, and Mariner has a runner in scoring position as they'll bring up the starting catcher, Zachary Graham. And Justin looking over at second. First pitch, a foul ball, hits the fence for an 0-1 count.
Hey, Troya, that boy.
Justin getting a sign from the starting catcher, Trey Long. The 0-1 pitch, a strike 2 looking. And Justin looking over at second base, ahead on the count, the 0-2 pitch. And this one will be fielded by the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko. He is not able to throw, and Elijah White will stay at second. Mariner with runners on first and second base.
Easy way. Step on the bag, you can.
Here in the top of the first inning, as Mariners already threatening and bringing up the number 5 hitter and the starting second baseman, number 7, Anthony Lopez. And the first pitch, a fly ball. This one going in the foul territory. And Tanner Lind will make the catch. The starting right fielder, Tanner Lind, making the catch right on the first base line. And it will end the top of the first inning. No runs on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Mariner threatening early, but will be immediately stopped thanks to Justin Troya and the Lake Stevens defense. We'll now come back. We will now be right back. It'll be the bottom of the first inning. It'll be Elijah White facing off against Ben Pizer, Trey Long, and Connor Bardu. The same first 3 batters for the Vikings, and the same ones from game 1. When we come back, bottom of the first, no score. And we are back into the bottom of the first inning. No score in game number 2 of this doubleheader between Lake Stevens and Mariner. The starting pitcher for the Mariner Marauders is number 24, Elijah White. And the first pitch to Ben Pizer is upstairs for a ball 1. Ben Pizer, he had a really good game in game 1. He went 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs, had 2 runs and a double. It brought his batting average up to .462 as it was brought up from .381. The 2-0. That would be a strike 1 looking. It will be a fastball that hits the low part of the strike zone outside. And the 2-1 by White. Swing and a miss, strike 2. As it was due to the first game that everyone's batting averages went up. The 2-2. Line drive ball. That goes straight towards the third base coach, Jan Novak, right in front of the Mariner dugout along the first base side. And the pitch, a line drive ball, as Anthony Lopez tries snagging that. Tries to get a one-hop snag at his second base position. Instead, it will get off of his glove and will roll into right center field, to where the center fielder Ryan Aceto will pick it up, and Lake Stevens will get their first base runner on an error. And the first pitch to Trey Long, low for a ball 1 under the strike zone. Trey Long 6 hits and 18 at-bats with a .333 batting average. Trey Long, he went 2 for 4 with a double and a run scored in game 1. The 1-0 fly ball, it is behind, it goes over the fence behind home plate for a foul ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Hey, got Trey right here, man. Got Trey.
Let's go Trace it. Come on, kid. Let's go Trace it first.
Trey.
There you go.
Man.
1 ball and 1 strike.
Let's go, Ellen.
Elijah White looking over at first, does not throw to try and get Ben Pizer. And the 1-1 hard hit ball, this one going into left center field, and it will fall right in front of the left fielder, Joseph Adi. Throw to third is not in time to try and get Ben Pizer, and Trey Long has another 2-bagger. As the Vikings have runners on second and third to start the bottom of the first inning. And he'll bring up the number 3 hitter, Connor Bardew. In that game, he was 2 for 2 with 3 runs scored, was walked once and was hit once, and brought his batting average up from a .563 to a .611 batting average. That has to be one of the, if not the best batting average in Wesco right now. First pitch low for a ball 1. And the 1-0 ground ball gets into the glove of the shortstop, Caleb Atoig. Throw to first is in time, but a run will score. Lake Stevens has an early 1-0 lead. Connor Bardew with RBI number 6 on the year. And it will move Trey Long to third base as number 21, Christian LaPierre, will come to the dish. He has a .188 batting average coming into this game. Line drive ball gets past the second baseman, Anthony Lopez, who was shifted into the infield. And it'll be a first pitch RBI single scoring Trey. RBI number 4 on the year for Christian, and it is a 2-0 Lake Stevens lead. And it'll bring up Will Wentz, who is the starting first baseman. He had a career day in game 1 where he had 5 RBIs. He was 2 for 2 for 2 doubles and 5 RBIs. And the pitch, runner. The runner almost went. Christian LaPierre almost going to second base. First pitch was low to the catcher, Zachary Graham, for a ball 1. And White, the 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Zachary Graham is ready to throw to first, does not do it. So Will Wentz, he has a team-high 9 RBIs on the year. He has a .273 batting average, too. And the 1-1 runner goes. Foul ball, it'll hit the fence. Christian has to go back to first.
Hey, go 3-4 on, babe.
So there will be some games that will be played as usual today, as well as some games that were supposed to be played on Wednesday that were moved to Saturday. Throw to first, not in time. So the only game that was played on Wednesday was Monroe beating Kamiak at home 10-1. While both Jackson and Mount Vernon, Glacier Peak and Cascade, both those games were moved to Saturday. Throw to first, not in time. And on Friday, everyone is playing as usual, and considering that the weather is really good, it doesn't look like any games will be moved anytime soon. And the 1-2 pitch, Christian LaPierre taking advantage of a one-hopper thrown in front of Zachary Graham, and he gets his 4th stolen base of the year. Christian LaPierre now 4 for 4 in stolen bases. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And apart from the 2 conference games being played, and the 2-2 pitch upstairs, ball 3, a full count 3-2 with Christian looking towards third base. And apart from The games that are being played today, we have Jackson at Mount Vernon and Glacier Peak at Cascade. They'll both be played at 1 p.m. on Saturday, as well as Bishop Blanchette playing against Kamiak at a game that was postponed earlier this year. The payoff pitch, a one-hopper inside to Zachary Graham, and the Vikings have runners on first and second with one runner out. And it'll bring up the designated hitter, Aaron Lampinen,
Hey, right here, Smalls, I'm big.
who is making his first start since the Marysville-Pilchuck game, since the second game of the season. First pitch, a fly ball. That looks like it'll stay playable. This will fall under the second baseman, Anthony Lopez, and it'll get him for the second out of the first inning. And it'll bring up the right fielder, Tanner Lind. He had a couple of hits in game one, brought his batting average up to 176. It was 0.77. It is now up to 176 with a couple RBIs. This one, a hard hit ball. This one going to the center fielder, Joseph Adi, who has it and loses control of it. Christian's going to score, and will go to third base. It'll be an error on the center fielder, Aceto, not Joseph Adi. It was an error on the center fielder, Aceto. He lost a grip on the ball. Christian LaPierre will score from second base, and will go to third. And the Vikings have a 3-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning. It'll bring up the number 8 hitter, Hunter Zalesko. Currently 5 hits and 21 at-bats with a .238 batting average. Currently has 3 RBIs on the year and is 2 for 2 on stolen bases, and he was 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored in the third inning. And Tanner Lind is caught in the middle of a rundown. As the shortstop, Caleb Atoig, the ball gets away from him, but instead of throwing the first, he throws to home where Will tries to score, and he will get out on the rundown. It will be a 1-6-2 to get Will out at third base, and that will end the wild bottom of the first inning. It'll be 3 runs on 2 hits. There'll be 2 errors, and 1 runner left on is Lake Stevens, looking very similar to what happened in the first inning of game number 1. They go out and do an early lead to end the first inning. And when we come back, we'll go into the top of the second inning. Lake Stevens leading Mariner 3-0. As Jorge Urrutia making his first at-bat for the Marauders in this doubleheader. He'll be coming up first, followed by Joseph Adi and Trenton Pacheco in the top of the second inning. 3-0 Lake Stevens. And we are now back into the top of the second inning. Lake Stevens with a 3-0 lead over the Mariner Marauders, with Justin Troya facing off against the third baseman Jorge Urrutia. First pitch low for a ball 1. And the 1-0 to Justin. Fly ball. This one going into center field. Christian LaPierre moving a couple steps forward, but will make the catch for the first out of the second inning. Brings up the left fielder Joseph Adi at the 7th spot. And the reserves for the Mariner Marauders, some of the same ones from game 1. Vadim Kahatsky, Shaquille Khan, Tyson May, and Talon Corey, along with a couple of players, Jacob Coelho, who played right field. First pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. It gets in and out of the glove of the catcher, Trey Long. As Jacob Coelho, he was the starting right fielder in game 1. He is now a reserve. And Brian Rosen, who was in the lineup hitting for Coelho at right field, he is now a reserve in game 2. The 0-1 goes inside, ball 1. And the 1-1 by Justin. It'll be a strike 2 looking. As Joseph Adi, he went 0 for 1 in the first game, as he was walked on a full count in the first inning, was stranded at second and grounded to third. This will be a slow hopper fielded by Zalesko. Throw to first is in time for the second out of the second inning. There's a little miscommunication there as both the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko, and the third baseman, Connor Bardu, they both tried to get the ball at the same time. And it'll bring it for the second out. Our next one is the right fielder, number 15, Pacheco Trenton. First pitch, a check swing, goes over to Lake Stevens dugout for an 0-1 count. As Trenton, he was the starting left fielder. He got an RBI single in the first inning and was hit in the fourth inning. He was the most active batter. In terms of the number of at-bats that he had in game one. Next pitch, a ball one to Trenton. And the 1-1 pitch by Justin, swing and a miss, strike two. And defensively, the lineup for the Lake Stevens Vikings. On the mound is Justin Troya. Behind the plate is Trey Long. On the infield, Connor Bardu, Hunter Zalesko, Ethan Jansen, and Will Wentz. And on the outfield, Ben Pizer, Christian LaPierre, and Tanner Lynn. The 1-2, a line drive ball. This one getting into the gap in left field. And it'll be a two-out single for Pacheco Trenton, his second hit of this doubleheader. And the third hit for Mariner in this series. And he'll bring up the number 9 hitter, the starting first baseman, number 8, Alex Way. Way, he was the starting second baseman in game one. He was 0 for 2 with a fielder's choice in the first inning that got Trenton out at second base and hit into a 4-6-3 double play in the fourth. First pitch by Justin. Inside, strike. And Trenton going towards second base and got himself a stolen base in the process, as Mariner once again has a runner in scoring position.
Hey, throw it across here. Let's go. Outfield get one. Outfield get four.
As Justin Troya, even though it didn't show in the first inning after he allowed a double and a single, he did throw 2 balls for 14 strikes and 16 pitches, which looks pretty good. Next pitch, swing and a missed, strike two. As Theron Perkins will once again not in the lineup today. He's got a nod in his back and has been opted to sit out for this doubleheader. The 0-2, swing and a miss, strike three. And Trey Long checking with the home plate umpire to see if he got Alex Way swinging, and he did. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. Is still a 3-0 Lake Stevens lead as Elijah White comes back to the mound facing off against the 8-9-1 hitters of Hunter Zalesko, the second baseman Ethan Jansen, and back to the top of the order with Ben Pizer. And we are now back into the bottom of the second inning. Lake Stevens leading Mariner 3-0. Elijah White coming back onto the mound for the Marauders, facing off against the number 8 hitter, the shortstop Hunter Zalesko. He's into a .238 batting average with 3 RBIs. It is 2 for 2 in stolen bases with a total of 5 hits and 21 at-bats total on the year. First pitch, low for a strike one looking, as Elijah White gets Hunter on the first pitch with a changeup, the curveball. Defensively for the Marauders on the mound is White, and behind the plate is Zachary Graham. The 0-1 goes low and outside for a ball one. Defensively at third base is Jorge Urrutia. At shortstop is Caleb Atoig. Second base is Anthony Lopez, and the first baseman is Alex Way. On the outfield is Adi Aceto and Pacheco. The 1-1 upstairs, ball 2. As Zalesko again, he went 1 for 3 with the run scored, and the 2-1 pitch was a check swing upstairs, ball 3. It was in the middle of his at bat that Mariner was able to get out of the inning, getting Will Wentz out at home. And the 3-1, a fly ball. And it goes straight into the middle of the infield, and Alex Way calls for it and makes the catch for the first out of the bottom of the second inning. Brings up the number 9 hitter, the starting second baseman, Ethan Jansen, who has mainly been used as a pinch hitter all year, is be making his first start for the varsity team this season, as he is 0 for 1 on the year, has been walked once and has struck out once in 3 pinch hit appearances this year. First pitch is a strike one looking. And this time for Mariner, there will be no designated hitter used, while for the Vikings, it'll be Aaron Lampinen. And the 0-1, inside, curveball, strike 2 looking. And the 0-2 pitch by White, swing and a miss, strike 3. With Elijah White getting Jansen swing for the first strikeout of the afternoon here at this 5 o'clock start for game number 2. The first game started at 3:15. Back to the top of the order is Elijah White against Ben Pizer. First pitch is strike 1 looking. In the last at bat, on a 2-2 pitch, Ben hit a liner to the second baseman, Anthony Lopez, who tried to one-hop it. The 0-1, this one getting into the gap in right center. Ben's going to get towards second base, fielded by the center fielder, Aceto, and he'll stop at second for a 2-out double. And it'll be another double for Lake Stevens. It's the second one today. It'll be and there was a couple doubles that were hit in game 1. And overall, in the terms of extra base hits, Lake Stevens just keeps piling them up in both these games. Against Mariner, brings up Trey Long, who hit a double back in the first inning and later scored. First pitch, low, ball 1. As well, there was also a couple of triples that were hit in that first game. It was Ben Pizer who hit one, and Brandon Miller who hit one. Go back to second, not in time. With the shortstop Atoy thinking that he got him. And the reserves for Lake Stevens, you have Tate Rust, you have Jacob Gordon, Alec Ibachuan, Cameron Austin, Jacob Wardela, Brandon Miller, Devin McWaters, Bryce Mefford, and Tommy Lindgren. Really the same reserves from game 1. The 1-0 pitch, a one-hopper to Graham. Graham easily recovering to get the ball. And Pizer will stay at second base. It'll be a ball 2. And White looking over at second base, the 2-0. Check swing, strike 1 looking. Elijah White getting Trey with the off-speed pitch, check swinging for the first called strike. And the 2-1 fly ball, that's going to go out in the foul territory. The first baseman Alex Way running towards it, for he is stopped by the fence. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Go long pitch, here we go, kid.
And Elijah White, the 2-2. Outside ball 3 with Zachary Graham looking over at second. And Elijah White trying not to do what Anthony Lopez just went through. He allowed 11 earned runs through 4 1/3 innings and ended up getting the loss in that first game. Payoff pitch. And a slow grounder. This one fielded by Alex Way. No one is at first base. As the pitcher Elijah White also tried to get that one, it'll be an infield single for Trey Long. And the Vikings have runners on the corners with two out for Connor Bardew, who had an RBI ground out back in the first inning. And it'll be Bryce Mefford, number 15. He was pinch running for the pitcher. He was pinch running for both Jacob Wardela and Alec Ibachuan in game number 1. And now he'll be pinch running for the catcher, Trey Long. As Elijah White stepping off the mound. As he was looking over at the Mariner dugout, looking at Ryan Otto and the number of assistant coaches over there. Elijah White facing off against Connor Bardew. Timeout by Connor. And the next 5 games for both teams, starting with Mariner. Both teams are going to be playing on Wednesday, April 11th. That is They are both going to continue their conference play then with Mariner at Glacier Peak, Lake Stevens at Kamiak. First pitch, it'll hit Connor on the leg. It'll hit him on the left leg. He was trying to get away from that one. As Connor gets hit for the second time in 2 games. Timeout by Mariner. Ryan Otto once again going on the mound. As Christian LaPierre will come to the plate. He hit an RBI single back in the first inning. That scored Ben. As Mariner in a situation they are all too familiar with. They are bases loaded. Doesn't matter how many outs there is, just the fact that they are bases loaded just makes it very familiar. Christian LaPierre is the only batter for Lake Stevens that didn't, the only starting batter that didn't get a hit. He was 0 for 2. He was walked twice, got an RBI, and scored 2 runs. This one a ground out to the second baseman Lopez. Throws the first and doesn't get him in time. It's another error on Lopez. And the Vikings will get another run on the board. As another run will score. It's now 4-0 Lake Stevens. As Will Wentz will come to the plate. He got on base on a full count walk and was out trying to steal home. And the first pitch by Elijah White, swinging and a miss, strike 1. And Elijah the 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Go, baby!
Elijah White ahead on the count. And this early in the at-bat, the start to try and end the second inning. The 0-2 inside. Strike 3 called, and Will does not like that call. Strike 3 call to end the second inning. 1 run on 2 hits, 1 error, and 3 runners left on. As Mariner, they get out of a bases-loaded jam, but the Vikings will get another one on the board. At the end of 2, it is Lake Stevens 4, Mariner nothing. Justin Troya coming back on the mound to face the top 3 batters of Atoy, Gassetto, and White in the top of the 3rd inning. And we are now back at the top of the 3rd inning. Lake Stevens leading Mariner 4-0 with Justin Troya once again going on the mound. Faced off against Caleb Atoy, the leadoff hitter. First pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. And Justin Troya in the second inning, 3 balls, 10 strikes for 13 pitches. Total of 5 balls, 24 strikes, and 29 pitches total. The 0-1. It'll go upstairs for a ball 1. As for a total in the second inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. For a total of no runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 3 runners left on. The 1-1, swing and a miss, strike 2. Atoy was chasing that one. As number 32, Talon Corey, warming up a little bit in the bullpen, already seeing some activity. The 1-2, foul ball. They'll hit the fence. It'll be Atoy, Ryan Aceto, and the pitcher Elijah White. Troya getting the sign from Trey Long, the 1-2. Hard hit ball, this one getting past both Will Wentz and Ethan Jansen as it gets into the hole in right field for a leadoff single. As once again on the second strike, Mariner gets a runner on with a base hit. And it'll bring up Ryan Aceto, who grounded out to the third baseman Connor Bardew back in the first inning. And that is something we're going to look at right there for Mariner. All their 4 hits have been on counts in which there were 2 strikes. There were a couple where there were 0-2 pitches. There's one, and then there were 2 where there was an 0-2 pitches, and those were both in the first inning, and the other 2 were in the 1-2 counts. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. but it doesn't happen every time. There are times where there's an 0-2 count and Justin's able to get out of it. And Justin, the 1-0. Strike one looking right down the middle. As for the next 5 games for both these teams, Mariner, they'll be starting off against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, a team that is currently rebuilding. They're facing off against Cascade right now at Glacier Peak High School, and then there'll be a game at Cascade High School on Saturday. The 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2. A 1-2 count. Where they face off against Glacier Peak and try and get their first conference win there, and then they'll be facing off against Jackson and then against Cascade. A couple pretty tough opponents. The 1-2 outside, ball 2 outside. And while for Lake Stevens, they'll be playing their next 2 games against the Kamiak Knights, trying to get their record up to a 500 record and get themselves a winning record overall in conference play. Throw to first, not in time. As they'll be facing off against a couple pretty tough opponents after Kamiak. They'll be facing off against Mount Vernon and then Monroe. As the order will be Kamiak, Mount Vernon, Monroe, Glacier Peak, and Jackson. The 2-2 fly ball, that goes out foul. As it lands just past the Mariner bullpen and lands right in front of the Lake Stevens Athletic office. 2 balls, still 2 balls and 2 strikes. As so far in 2+ innings, this has been familiar territory for Mariner, as this is where they aim the strike. 2-2 pitch hits it'll hit on top of the roof of the high school above, or right behind the Mariner bleacher. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes for the second batter at this top of the 3rd inning. Justin looking over at first. A 2-2 chopper. This one going to the second baseman, Jansen. A nice pick. Tossed to first and just gets him at first base. As Ethan Jansen tried to get a grip of the baseball before throwing to first, was able to get Ryan Aceto in time. Once again, Mariner with a runner in scoring position at second base. And it'll bring up the pitcher, Elijah White, who hit a double. Who hit what looked like a single in the right field and then turning into a double. And Justin looking over at second base. The first pitch by Troya, strike 1 looking. Justin looking over at second base again. And a timeout by Elijah, a dead pitch. As Elijah called time before Justin was able to throw the ball. As the count will still stay at 0-1. And Justin stepping off the mound. And Elijah White, who was a couple of Mariner batters that showed promise in the first game. He was 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored in the first inning. It was one of the 2 runs overall in that first inning. The 0-1 outside for a ball 1. And the 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss as the ball gets away from the catcher, Trey Long. As the ball will get off the glove after Elijah White swung at that, and Elijah White was the first Mariner runner in game number 2 to get the third. As the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes, Justin ahead of the count on his counterpart, the pitcher Elijah White. He steps off the mound, and Trey Long talking to the home plate umpire as the scoreboard alongside left field is showing the wrong count. It's actually 1 ball and 2 strikes. Troya, the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Got White swinging for the second out. And he'll bring up the catcher, Zachary Graham, who hit a single.
Let's go, 12. Bulldog up here. Sorry, there's nobody a second.
Back in the first inning, first pitch, ball 1.
Hey, bear down here, bear down. Go.
And Justin, the 1-0.
Hey, boy.
That'll be a foul ball. It lands right behind the Lake Stevens bullpen, 1 ball and 1 strike. And I said this back in a couple of games back. I said it at Cascade that the next opponent for Lake Stevens Mariner, they had a really good non-conference play, but wouldn't really show in conference play. The 1-1. That one going for a foul ball, going right behind the Lake Stevens bleachers. 1 ball and 2 strikes as Justin's now ahead of the count. So I was saying how the Mariner Marauders, they were doing really good non-conference play, but because of their history, getting blown out a lot and barely not getting any wins in conference play, didn't know if that was it was just a lucky streak or if they really had showed a lot of promise, even though they didn't have a junior varsity team. The 1-2 pitch, a 1-hopper for a ball 2. And Justin, the 2-2. And a nice curveball by Justin Troya, but it'll hit the just under the strike zone for a ball 3. Full count 3-2. And the payoff pitch, 3-2, a hard hit ball going into left field. Pizer going back. Pizer going back right near the wall in left center field and will make the catch. As once again, Lake Stevens will end another Mariner threat. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. Is still a 4-0 Lake Stevens lead over Mariner. Elijah White getting back onto the mound for the Marauders as he'll face Aaron Lampinen, Tanner Lind, and Hunter Zalesko, the 6, 7, 8 hitters in the bottom of the 3rd inning. So a 4-0 Lake Stevens lead. And we are now back into the bottom of the 3rd inning. Lake Stevens with a 4-0 lead and are not afraid to add more to that number as Elijah White will face off against the designated hitter Aaron Lampinen. First pitch, a strike 1 looking. First pitch you saw to win back in the 1st inning was a fly ball to Anthony Lopez in the 0-1. Will be a ball 1 against on the outside and he'll get away from the catcher Zachary Graham. And the 1-1 by Elijah White. That'll be a foul chopper. He'll roll towards the Mariner on deck circle. And the Mariner bleachers, 1 ball and 2 strikes. It'll be Aaron Lampinen, Tanner Lind, and Hunter Zalesko. The 1-2, fly ball. It'll just go out foul, but it looks playable. It'll go out. Foul right near the Lake Stevens bullpen, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the 1-2 by White. Upstairs, ball 2. Just like in the first game, Lake Stevens will be wearing their road black uniforms. And the first time in the regular season, first time ever in the regular season that they would wear them at home. The 2-2 pitch, hard hit ball going in the right field. It'll be the right fielder, Trenton Pacheco. It will be making the catch. After the 6-pitch at bat for the first out of the third inning, it'll bring up the number 9 hitter Tanner Lind, who hit a fly ball to the center fielder Ryan Aceto, who later drops it and allows a couple of runs to score. First pitch by Elijah White. It'll be a ball 1 on the outside part of the strike zone. And the 1-0, the ground ball, a chopper going straight to the pitcher Elijah White. Tosses it to first. Elijah White waiting a couple of seconds before he's able to toss it. Make things a little interesting. He tosses it to first base. Just as Tanner gets to the bag, it'll be the second out of the third inning. That'll bring up the number 8 hitter Hunter Zalesko, who popped out to the first baseman Alex Way to start the bottom of the second inning. First pitch. Low for a ball 1 and gets past the catcher Zachary Graham. And Elijah White in the second inning, 6 balls and 15 strikes for 21 pitches total. And a total of 14 balls, 26 strikes, and 40 pitches. With the 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error, and 3 runners left on. The pitch, strike 1 looking. With a total of 4 runs for 4 hits. Has allowed 3 errors and has left 4 runners on for Lake Stevens through 2 innings. The 0-1. And it'll hit Zalesko right on the top part of the back. And Zalesko gets hit for the second time this season. And the Vikings have a runner on first with 2 outs in the third inning. And it'll bring up Ethan Jansen, who struck out swinging on 3 pitches. His last time up for the second out of the second inning. And the first pitch, low for a ball 1.
Let's go, Pablo. Here we go, kid. Here we go. Get this inning going. Here we go. Hit in the gap. Here we go.
And White getting the sign from Graham, swing and a miss, strike 1.
Helicopter bat speed. Let's go, kid. On big Pablo. Here we go. Up and down. Jansen, I'm in. Here we go, kid.
And a timeout by Ethan.
Get yours. See the ball, be the ball. Here we go, kid.
And White getting the sign. Runner goes, and the ball gets past the catcher, Zachary Graham, and Hunter Zalesko with his 3rd stolen base of the season. And a runner was going, and the ball got past the catcher. Zachary Graham got under his legs. And the Vikings have another runner in scoring position as Hunter Zalesko is at second base. And Ethan ahead on the count. Elijah looking over at second. The 2-1 pitch inside, ball 3. Looked like it almost hit Jansen. And the 3-1 ground ball. This one going to the shortstop Atoy. Throw to first is not in time. It's an infield single by Ethan Jansen. There's a slow roller to the shortstop Caleb Atoy. It just gives enough time for Ethan Jansen to step on the bag, and there's runners on the corners with 2 outs. As the Vikings will go back to the top of the order, and Ben Pizer, who has scored in both at-bats this afternoon. As he has reached double digits, he has 10 runs this season. He has 8 runs, a double, and a triple coming into this game. Throw to first, not in time to get Ethan. Got on base on an error by the second baseman Anthony Lopez in the first inning and later scored. And in the second inning, he hit a two-bagger and was the only run that scored in the second inning. First pitch, line drive ball. And that will get into the hole in right field, and Hunter will score from third base. It'll be an RBI single for Ben Pizer, and it's a 5-0 Lake Stevens lead. RBI number 4 on the year and 4 on the day for Ben Pizer through 2 games. Ethan will move to second base, and he'll bring up Trey Long. And Trey Long, he is 2 for 2 with a run scored. The first pitch, low and outside for a ball 1. He had a 1-1 pitch into the gap in right center field for a double in the first inning, and then he hit a single in the second inning. That was later replaced by Bryce Mefford as he was pinch running. And the 1-0 pitch. Elijah White trying to get Trey there with the curveball up against strike 1 looking. And the 1-1 by Elijah White, low for a ball 2. Zachary Graham immediately in a standing up position looking at first and second. And the 1-2, a golf shot going into right center field. The center fielder, Aceto, trying to get under it and will make the catch to end the third inning. It'll be 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on. The Vikings get another run on the board. They have not gone through a scoreless inning today, as Lake Stevens now lead by the score of 5-0 over Mariner, as Justin Troya will come back to the mound at the top of the 4th inning. He'll be facing off against Anthony Lopez, Jorge Urrutia, and Joseph Adi in the top of the 4th inning. 5-0 Lake Stevens. And we are now back into the top of the 4th inning. Lake Stevens with a 5-0 lead over the Mariner Marauders. Justin Troya back on the mound facing off against Anthony Lopez. First pitch, he'll go for a ball 1 outside. Anthony Lopez, he hit a fly ball on the first pitch to the right fielder Tanner Lind on the right field foul line to end the top of the 1st inning with runners left on 1st and 3rd. Next pitch low for a ball 2. Justin getting the sign immediately from Trey, the 2-0. Be a foul ball going over to Lake Stevens bleachers. As for Mariners, the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, they lost their first series after this will be against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. They got a few promised players returning. This next pitch, a ground ball to the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko, for the first out of the 4th inning. It was a hard hit ball. It'll be a 1-hopper straight to the sophomore shortstop. It'll get him for the first out. Now bring up the number 6 hitter, Jorge Urrutia, spelled Urrutia, the 3rd baseman. Number 17. And Justin, and the wind-up in the first pitch. That'll be a grounder, getting past the glove of Troya. Bardu picking it up, throwing the first and in time for the second out. A nice heads-up play by the 3rd baseman, Connor Bardu, at the hot corner. Immediately acknowledging that the ball was going to get past the glove of the pitcher, Justin Troya. Immediately fields it and immediately throws it to first to get him for the second out here in this 4th inning. It'll bring up the number 7 hitter, Joseph Adi, the starting left fielder. As he grounded out to Connor back in the 2nd inning. First pitch, strike 1 looking. Glacier Peak, they had a lot of really good players, but unfortunately those players have left now. And so this is sort of like a rebuilding year for Glacier Peak. They do have a couple really good players returning, hitting, but unfortunately they need to work on their pitching, as most of their pitchers are gone from last year. The 0-1 pitch out inside for a ball 1. Then there's the Jackson Timberwolves, who look like a team that barely lost anyone. The 1-1 pitch, a foul ball, it hits the fence. As Jackson, they had Jacob Bogatz last year. He left for Northern Colorado. He was one of the Wesco baseball's top pitchers. And Lake Stevens somehow didn't face off against Jackson or Jacob Bogatz in the Wesco tournament. They were able to win the title without playing Jackson. The 1-2 fly ball, that goes out for a foul ball into the bullpen, right next to the bullpen for a 1 and 2 strike count. And then there's the Cascade Bruins. We have the duo of Brett and Brock Gillis. We've seen them play earlier this year, and the Vikings losing to them in 2 games, both by 1 run. The 1-2 pitch, it'll be high and outside for a ball 2. And the windup and the 2-2 pitch. Upstairs, ball 3, full count. As Justin Troya threw 4 batters in the 3rd inning, he threw 7 balls for 15 strikes and 22 pitches. A total of 12 balls, 39 strikes for 51 pitches. The payoff pitch, a chopper. This one going to the second baseman, Ethan Jansen. Throw to Will at first is in time. And Justin Troya has thrown a 1-2-3 inning with the help of his infield behind him. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. It is still a 5-0 Lake Stevens lead. As Elijah White will come back onto the mound as the Vikings have a 5-0 lead over the Marauders, as the Vikings will bring up Connor Bardew, Christian LaPierre, and Will Wentz in the bottom half of the 4th inning. And we are now back into the bottom of the 4th inning. Lake Stevens still with a 5-0 lead over the Mariner Marauders. Elijah White on the mound. He has thrown 61 pitches through 3 innings. And he'll be facing off against the number 3 hitter, Connor Bardew. First pitch upstairs for a ball 1. This is the 2nd straight inning where Elijah White has thrown 21 pitches. He threw 19 in the 1st inning. He has thrown 21 pitches in the 2nd inning, allowing a run, and 21 pitches in the 3rd inning, allowing another run. The 1-0 pitch would be a strike 1 looking.
Go, Bardew. Get it going up.
The 2-0 pitch by White. Strike 1 looking, getting Bardew with the curveball.
Hey, Connor Bardew. Bardew, right here, Bardew, right here. Go, Bardew. Bardew.
What up, Bardew?
And the 2-1 pitch goes low for a ball 3. Connor Bardew, he is 0 for 1. He grounded out to the shortstop, Atoig in the 1st inning, getting an RBI in the process, and got hit in the 2nd inning. The 3-1 pitch by White. There'll be a chopper going to the 3rd base. Going right past the 3rd base coach, Jan Novak. And it'll bring it to a full count, 3-2 on the first batter. White shaking off a call from Graham, the payoff pitch. Upstairs, ball 4, and the Vikings have a runner on first. To start the 4th inning on another. Or not on another, but the Vikings will get on a guy on first base on a leadoff walk, time out by Mariner. As Ryan Otto, along with the catcher Zachary Grant, going to talk to Elijah White. It looked like they have a couple of people warming up. As they had Brett Otterson, who is not playing due to injury. He's just throwing the ball around the bullpen. And they had number 32, Talon Corey, warming up a couple of innings ago, so we don't know for sure if he's going to be warmed up as well. As Christian LaPierre will call it to the plate. He hit a single back in the 1st inning, an RBI single, got a stolen base, and later scored one of the 3 runs in the 1st inning, and then got on base on another error by the second baseman Anthony Lopez. This time it was on a botched ground ball. The first pitch will be a ball 1. It looks like they might take Justin Troya out for the afternoon. He is currently taking laps on the wall on the outfield. The 1-0 throw to first, not in time to get Connor, so Ball 2 outside to Zachary Graham. Justin Troya, and this is the thing for Lake Stevens pitchers, every time that they are done, they would take a lap around the other side of the fence, other side of the wall in the outfield. That's what Justin Troya is doing right now. 2-0 fly ball. Looks like it's in fair territory. Going into foul territory in the third baseman. Jorge Urrutia trying to get there. Oh, not able to get it. It was him and Zachary Graham, the catcher, who were right near the vicinity. And as the ball landed right in front of the Mariner bleachers, it would be a strike one, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Got 2 on. Come out. There you go, Christian. Come back. Up here, up, babe.
And White throwing to first. Connor Bardou looked like he was trying to get his third stolen base there as he is teasing the pitcher Elijah White that he might be going to second.
Hey, right here, Christian, baby. Got 2 on right here.
And White the pitch. Hard hit ball, a golf shot going to the right field. It is the right fielder, Pacheco Trenton, who will make the catch. It'll keep Connor Bardou at first base, as it'll get him for the first out of the 4th inning. Brings up Will Wentz, who got on base on a walk and later was caught trying to steal home and struck out looking on a questionable call in the 2nd inning. First pitch, a 1-hopper. As the catcher Graham immediately gets a hold of the ball and looks over at first base.
Come out. Come right here, Will.
And the throw to first, not in time. Bardou took a couple of steps towards first base before he was able to throw. And now it'll be number 10, Brian Rosen. He is warming up in the bullpen right now. 1-0, 1-hopper to Zachary Graham again. As Brian Rosen, he was the designated hitter in the first game where the Vikings won 17-2. The 2-0 foul chopper, this one falling in foul territory. Right next to the first base side is picked up by the catcher Zachary Graham, strike 1.
Let's go, Will. Come on now, kid.
As again, Brian Rosen, it was him and Jacob Coelho who was added to the list of reserves for Mariner in the 2nd game of this twin bill here on Friday, April 6th. The 2-1, low for a ball 3. Low and inside. Elijah White now sitting on 75 pitches through 3 1/3, 3-1 pitch. This one going over the head of the 6'4" Will Wentz. But it will be fielded. And a nice catch by the catcher Zachary Graham to make sure that Connor would not be stealing second to go to third. Throw to second is not in time to try and get Connor Bardou, as Aaron Lampinen will once again go up to the dish. He had a couple fly balls in the last time he was up. He had a fly ball on the first pitch. First pitch, strike 1 looking here. He had a fly ball on the first pitch to the second baseman Anthony Lopez, and then he hit a fly ball to the right fielder Pacheco Trenton. And a 6-pitch at-bat to start the third. The 0-1 ground ball. This one fielded by the third baseman, Jorge Urrutia. But not before that the umpire had called it foul. It was Aaron Lampinen who stopped a couple of steps before first base. It was a nice throw by Urrutia, as it was a 1-hopper to the first baseman, Alex Way, but it will not count. No balls and 2 strikes. And the 0-2 pitch, outside, ball 1. And White getting the sign from Zachary Graham. Looks over at second and steps off the bag as the shortstop, Caleb Atoig, was signaling for Elijah White to throw to second. And after a couple of seconds, he steps off the mound. And White, the 1-2 pitch, a hard hit ball. This one going into right center field. That is going to fall. Connor is running around third base. And Connor will score. It'll be an RBI single by the designated hitter, Aaron Lampinen, his 4th RBI of the year. Will move over to second base. And a timeout by Mariner. As Ryan Otto, the manager for Mariner, along with the catcher Zachary Graham, they'll take Elijah White out of the game. They're going to put in Jorge Urrutia, as they will both switch positions at third base. We'll be right back. It is the bottom of the 4th inning. A runner on first and second with 1 runner out, as Lake Stevens leads Mariner by the score of 6-0. And we are now back into the bottom of the 4th inning. Lake Stevens with a 6-0 lead over Mariner as the Marauders bring in a new pitcher, which is the starting third baseman, number 17, Jorge Urrutia, who will be facing off against Tanner Lind. First pitch of ball 1 upstairs. The Vikings have a runner on first and second base. Elijah White, 3 1/3, 7 hits. Currently 1 earned run, 6 runs total, 1 earned run. He is responsible for Will and Aaron at second and third. Next pitch outside for a ball 2. He has walked 3 and struck out 2 in 80 pitches. And the 2-0 by Urrutia. It'll be a strike 1 looking. Looking over at second, the 2-1 pitch. Ground ball getting past the glove of Urrutia. Going into the glove of the second baseman, Anthony Lopez. He looks over at first, doesn't throw. Looks over at third, tries to get Will at third base and doesn't do it. And so it'll be a fielder's choice, as Tanner will get the first base safely. It'll bring up Hunter Zalesko, who is 0 for 1, got hit back in the 3rd inning and later scored. Urrutia looking over at first. The throw to first is not in time, as Alex Wade not able to tag Tanner at first base. And Tanner now going to second base. Throw to second. And now he throws to the second baseman. He is not able to tag Tanner. And he is out as Will looks like he scores from third, is at the end of the inning. And now they're saying that is the end of the inning, as the inning will end on a rundown for Tanner Lind. As Mariner, for some reason, was not able to tag Tanner Lind between first and second base. And Will looked at the situation a second too late, as he saw what was going on a second too late, tried to score, but it was too late. Tanner was already tagged out, and no more runs will score. So it'll be the end of the 4th inning. One run on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. It is now a 6-0 Lake Stevens lead at the end of 4 as it will be number 18, Jacob Gordon, who will be the new pitcher for Lake Stevens. In the top of the 5th, they'll be facing it off against Pacheco, Trenton, Alex Way, and Caleb Atoy, the leadoff hitter. In the top of the 5th inning, 6-0 Lake Stevens. And we are now back into the top of the 5th inning. Lake Stevens now leading Mariner by the score of 6-0. A new pitcher for the Vikings. It is number 18, Jacob Gordon, making his 3rd appearance of the season. This will be facing off against Pacheco Trenton, the right fielder. First pitch, low for a ball 1. And Jacob Gordon, and he has no wins and no losses with an ERA of 0 in 4 innings. He's allowed 4 hits, walked 1, and struck out 3 with no earned runs. The 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. And the 1-1 by Gordon. The 1-1 pitch. So he got a fastball right by him. Strike 2 looking. That'll be a 1-2 count.
Keep throwing strikes, kid.
And Gordon ahead on the account. The 1-2. A nice curveball by Jacob Gordon. The strike 3 called
Boy, Jake.
to get the first out of the 5th inning. And it'll bring up Alex Way, the first baseman and the number 9 hitter. First pitch by Gordon. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. It'll be an 0-1 count. Justin Troya, 4 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and struck out 2 in 63 pitches. And is on line to get his first varsity win of his career. The 0-1.
There you go. Wait, Jake.
And a swing and a miss. Strike 2 will be an 0-2 count. And Gordon, the 0-2 pitch, chopper, going towards the second baseman, Ethan Jansen. Tosses it, throws to first, gets him in time for the second out of the 5th inning.
Hey, good job. Just come back this way, though. All right?
And Mariner will now go back to the top of the order. Caleb Atoy, he is 1 for 2 with a single in the 3rd inning and was stranded at 3rd base. And the first pitch by Gordon upstairs, ball 1.
Working on that all the time. You can go get it and you can have it play. Let's go, Jake. Come on out, kid.
And the 1-0 pitch by Gordon outside for a ball 2.
Find your strike zone. Here we go. Go, Jake. Come on out, kid. Keep throwing strikes. You got it.
So it'll be Will Wentz who will be facing off on the mound against Morgan White of Kamiak next week for the first conference game. Foul ball hits the fence, 2 balls and 1 strike. As Morgan White, he signed a letter of intent to play for the University of Portland back in October. The 2-1. Ground ball. The screamer. This one going to the shortstop, Zalesko. Throw to first in time. As it'll be another 1-2-3 inning. Another great job by Lake Stevens relief pitching. A 1-2-3 inning. In the 5th inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. As it is still a 6-0 Lake Stevens lead. As the Vikings will come up to the plate in the bottom of the 5th inning. It'll be Hunter Zalesko, Ethan Jansen, and Ben Pizer. And we are now back into the bottom of the 5th inning. Jorge Urrutia facing off against Hunter Zalesko, the number 8 hitter. First pitch is strike 1 looking. As Zalesko, once again, he had an at-bat that was halted by a rundown that ended the inning. The 0-1 pitch, a ground ball to the shortstop, Atoy. Throw to first is in time by a step to get him for the first out of the 5th inning. And it'll bring up the 9-hitter Ethan Jansen. Bring it up to the 9-hitter Ethan Jansen, who is 1 for 2 with a single. His first varsity hit, and he struck out swinging on 3 pitches. First pitch inside for a ball 1. This will be his first time around against Jorge Urrutia. And the 1-0, strike 1 looking. So it'll be 1 earned run towards Elijah White with a total of 6 runs total against him. And he's on line for the loss. The 1-1 pitch upstairs to the catcher, Zachary Graham, ball 2. And for the Lake Stevens Vikings, again, they have a chance to tie their conference record against Kamiak. And the 2-1 pitch, a fly ball right near the second base bag. It is caught by the second baseman, Anthony Lopez, for the second out of the 5th inning. Bring us back to the top of the order with Ben Pizer. He was 4 for 5 in game 1. He is 2 for 2 in game 2. Is going to bring his batting average up exponentially from what it was before today began, which was 381. It brought up to a 462. Wouldn't be surprised if it'll now go up to a 500 average. First pitch, ball 1. And the 1-0. We have ball 2 inside. The Kamiak Knights, they lost a lot of seniors last year. They didn't even play that good last year with the seniors they had, so it was tough to imagine how Kamiak would go, trying to be better than what they were last year. And the 2-0 pitch outside 3-0, as they didn't even go into the playoffs, the Westco playoffs last year. And yet, the fact that they lost a lot of seniors, it makes it worse. And the 3-0, when it hit Ben Pizer on the leg, and it'll hit him on the right near his right foot. And another Lake Stevens batter is hit. It'll be the second time today. There were a couple of batters that were hit in game 1, and the Vikings have a runner on first. And it'll bring up Trey Long, who was 2 for 3 with a double and a run scored in the first inning. In the second inning, he had a single. Bryce Mefford pinch ran for him. And in the third inning, he flew out to center. And in this one, will hit Trey square on the back on the first pitch. And there are now runners on first and second. Ben was ready to go to second base. There are 3 hit batters in this game, 2 in the final 2 at-bats alone. And this time it'll be Cameron Austin who will pinch run for Trey Long instead of Bryce Mefford. And it'll bring up Connor Bardew, who is 0 for 1 with the RBI ground out back in the first inning. He got hit. My mistake, there are 4 hit batters, including the first 3 hitters got hit at least once. And Connor was walked in the 4th inning. It was a full count leadoff walk and was the only run that scored. And the first pitch, ball 1 inside. Urrutia trying to pull off a little Johnny Cueto there, looking over at second while in the middle of his windup. Trying something interesting there. And the 1-0, that almost hit Connor. That'll go inside for a ball 2.
Get out, don't help us. Get out.
And Urrutia, the 2-0. It'll go ball 3. It gets out of the glove of the catcher, Graham, and runners will advance. As Connor is ahead of the count, 3 balls, no strikes, runners on second and third. And the 3-0 by Urrutia. Upstairs, ball 4. And for the second time this afternoon, and for the first time against Jorge Urrutia, Connor Bardew will get walked. It'll be a bases loaded with 2 outs for Christian LaPierre, who is 1 for 2. And the first pitch by Jorge. Strike 1 looking to the senior left-hander. Hit an RBI single in the first inning and later scored. Then got on base on an error by Anthony Lopez and then flew out to right field. And the 0-1 inside. 1-1. I said this in a couple of innings ago. Again, a familiar situation where they get bases loaded. As immediately from the beginning of the first game.
You get behind the row.
As immediately from the first inning of the first game, the Vikings have always have had lots, has been able to take advantage of Mariner and get in bases loaded situations and score a lot of runs. The 1-1 pitch, low for a ball too. As the Vikings got 17 runs on 19 hits in the first game. The 2-1 fly ball. That'll go out for a foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Don't have to do too much. Middle of field.
And the 2-2 by Arusha. Outside. Oh, a late call by the umpire. Christian thought that was a ball 3. But it'll be a strike 3 called as Jorge Arusha tricks Christian with the curveball.
I need to comment on it.
As there'll be no runs on no hits, no errors, and 3 runners left on. It was the first time that Lake Stevens was allowed with no hits and no runs through an inning through these 2 games. And now we'll go back into the top of the 6th inning. It'll be Connor Bardou, who will once again be on the mound, making his second appearance this season. He'll be facing off against Ryan Aceto, Elijah White, and Zachary Graham in the top of the 6th inning. Still a 6-0 Lake Stevens lead. And we are now back into the top of the 6th inning. Lake Stevens leading Mariner. With a new pitcher for the Lake Stevens Vikings, that is Connor Bardou. And on a 1-0 pitch to Ryan Aceto is a liner to center field as Mariner gets their first base hit since the 3rd inning against a new pitcher. Connor Bardou making his second appearance of the year, as he had no wins and no losses with an ERA of 0. And in 1 inning, he has allowed no hits. He has walked 4 batters and has struck out nobody. First pitch to Elijah White, strike 1 looking. And for Jacob Gordon, 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, and 1 strikeout on 11 pitches through 1 full inning of work. Connor looking over at first, the 0-1. And a ball, throw to first, a 1-hopper to Will Wentz. Is not in time. And Connor looking over at first base, the 1-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Connor, he had a couple of appearances last year. They were trying him out at the beginning of the season last year. He didn't do so well. Same thing with a couple of years ago. He only pitched in 1 game, the 1-2. Fly ball goes up for a foul over the Lake Stevens bleachers. And it stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Connor looking at both Trey and Aceto at first base. And the 1-2 pitch. Strike 3 called, and he got White looking. As that ball landed on the top part of the strike zone. It's the 2nd time today that Elijah White has struck out. First pitch to Zachary Graham. Toss over the second for a fielder's choice. No, they're saying that his foot off the bag. It'll be an infield single for Zachary Graham. As Zalesko tossed it over to Ethan Jansen at second base, and apparently he's safe. Josh White immediately calling timeout and asking what's going on and why he is safe at second base. And it'll bring up Anthony Lopez with one out and 2 on. As Anthony Lopez, he is 0 for 2 with a fly ball to right and a grounder to the shortstop. First pitch, a strike one looking to Anthony Lopez. And so it will be number 18, Jacob Gordon, who will now be playing at third for Connor as he is on the mound. The 0-1, strike two looking. As Connor once again is ahead on the count. And the 0-2 pitch by Connor. Strike three called and a nice pitch. It goes low. It looks like the bottom part of the strike zone, and Anthony Lopez did not like that call.
Hey, short away here.
As Connor Bardu gets his second strikeout of the afternoon, it brings up Jorge Urrutia, who is 0 for 2 with a fly ball to center and a ground ball to Connor at third. First pitch, it goes way inside for a ball one as Urrutia's ducking.
That's like when they call the phantom travel when you're up 20. Here we go.
And Connor looking over at second, the 1-0, strike one looking.
So is he not allowed to throw fastballs? Steps that are breaking pitches the whole time.
Connor looking over at second, the 1-1, a line drive ball going to Jansen at second. Toss it to second base, it's Lesko, and this time his foot is on the bag for the out for a fielder's choice. As that will end the top of the sixth inning, no runs on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Is still a 6-0 Lake Stevens lead over Mariner as Connor Bardu is tricking those Mariner hitters with breaking balls as we go into the bottom of the 6th inning. Lake Stevens with their one final chance to try and get some more runs on the board before the top of the 7th rolls around, as it'll be Will Wentz, Aaron Lampinen, and Tanner Lind coming to the plate, as the Vikings still have a 6-0 lead. And we are back from Lake Stevens High School. It is the bottom of the 6th inning. Lake Stevens leading Mariner by the score of 6-0. Jorge Urrutia still on the mound for the Marauders, as he'll be facing off against the number 5 hitter Will Wentz for the first time around. And the first pitch by Urrutia, a liner, a one-hopper to the shortstop at Toig. Throw to first. It is in time. The first pitch for out number 1. As Will Wentz will make contact and will ground out for the first time this afternoon. It'll bring up Aaron Lampinen. And the first pitch to Aaron Lampinen, a foul ball hitting the fence. As Lampinen is 1 for 3, as he also hit an RBI single back in the 4th inning. The 0-1 pitch goes just the outside part of the strike zone for a strike one looking. The home plate umpire making a number of questionable calls, as there have been strikes that have been paid in the outside part of the strike zone. The 1-1 pitch will go low and under the strike zone for a ball 2. And the 1-2 by Jorge, liner getting into the glove of the third baseman, Elijah White, who throws the first. And we'll get Aaron Lampinen for out number 2. And it'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Tanner Lind, who is 0 for 2. Got on base on an error by Aceto, the center fielder. Grounded out to the pitcher, Elijah White, and hit into a fielder's choice. It's the second time around against Aruscio. First pitch outside for a ball 1. And the 1-0 swing and a miss, strike 1. And the 1-1 by Aruscia outside, and it bounces off the glove of the catcher Graham. And so that's something, I think that's another, it's probably one of the main factors why Mariner has won as many games as they did compared to past seasons, was because that Ryan Otto was able to use all these players in many different positions. When you have a guy who can play all positions in the outfield and all positions in the infield, you're practically ready to go. And the 2-1 pitch outside for a ball 3. And the 2-1 pitch by Aruscio. It'll be a strike 2 called as that hit the outside part of the strike zone. Tanner was flinched for a quick second, thought it was going to second. It was going to first base. And the payoff pitch, fly ball. This one going to the short left field, and it'll be the shortstop Atoig who's calling for it. And will make the catch the end of the 6th inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. As the Vikings will go down to the top of the 7th inning. 3 more outs. And the Vikings will get their first conference sweep and will get a 500 record in conference play. They just need 3 more outs in the top of the 7th inning as Connor Bardou will come back onto the mound facing the bottom 3 hitters of Joseph Adee, Pacheco Trenton, and Alex Way. And we are now back at the top of the 7th inning. Connor Bardou facing off against Joseph Adee, who flies out in short right field to the second baseman, Ethan Jansen, on the first pitch for the first out. On the top of the 7th inning. Okay. And it'll bring up the number 8 hitter, Pacheco Trenton, who is 1 for 2 and has been one of the stars for Mariner in this doubleheader. First pitch, a grounder to the first baseman, Will Wentz. 2 pitches, 2 outs. And it'll bring up number 32, Talon Corey, who is the pinch hitter. It is a cardinal rule in the sport of baseball. You should never swing on the third pitch. If you are the third batter and there's 2 pitches have been thrown that equals 2 outs, you should never throw on the third. You should never swing or make contact on the third pitch you see. Just let that first pitch go. It'll be the pinch hitter number 32, Talon Corey. He was warming up in the bullpen a couple of times. First pitch, low for a ball 1. Warming up in the bullpen a couple of times. The 1-0. This will be a short fly ball. This will fall right in front of the right fielder, Tanner Lind. As the pinch hitter, number 32, Talon Corey, gets a 2-out single. They'll now go back to the top of the order for Caleb Atoig, who is 1 for 3 with a single and a couple of ground outs to the shortstop. And the first pitch will go for a ball 1.
Here we go. Turn away here. We got 2. On out.
And the 1-0. Fly ball that goes over to Lake Stevens dugout for a foul ball. As we'll bring the count to 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1 by Connor. Low for a ball 2. This one going low and outside to Trey Long. And the 2-1 pitch by Connor. Swing and a miss, strike 2. And one more strike, 2-2. Ground ball, this gets past the glove of both Tate Brust and Hunter Zalesko, and that's another single for Mariner. It wasn't Jacob Gordon, it was Tate Brust, who was the starting first baseman in Game 1, timeout by Lake Stevens. Before Connor Bardu comes to face Ryan Aceto for the second time around. It'll be Josh White along with Trey Long going to talk to him. As it was on a 1-0 pitch that Aceto got a hit off of Connor. As the Vikings are trying to get this final out and trying to get it out of the way so they can get a 500 record in conference play. First pitch, foul ball that hits the fence. And the 0-1. This will go inside for a ball 1. And the 1-1 by Connor, fly ball. And that will go out for a foul ball over the Mariner bleachers, over the visiting bleachers. 1 ball and 2 strikes. As once again, Lake Stevens, they need to get 1 more strike to get their second straight win after getting 3 straight losses. And the 1-2 by Connor. Fly ball. This one going in foul territory. Brust and Pizer going for it. And Ben Pizer was the closest to it as he was running to get that one. And later crashes into the fence. And will not make the catch. And it's still one ball and 2 strike count. Again, the Mariner Marauders will be playing on April 11th at Glacier Peak High School in Snohomish, while Lake Stevens will be playing at Mukilteo at Kamiak High School also on April 11th. The 1-2 pitch, another foul ball, and Ryan Aceto. Ryan Aceto still fighting for that at bat.
They want the ball here.
The 1-2. Hard hit ball going in the right center. And back it gets over the glove of LaPierre. Corey is going to run around third. He's going to score. Atoig is running around third. He is going to stay at third. And it will be an RBI double for Ryan Aceto. And the Mariner Marauders are scoreless no more. It's an RBI double for Ryan Aceto. And the Vikings are up by 5 with Elijah White going through his second time around against Bardu. First pitch by Connor. Outside, ball 1. And the 1-0 pitched upstairs for a ball 2. And the 2-0 upstairs, ball 3. And Lake Stevens, they have some activity in the bullpen. It's Bryce Mefford warming up. 3-0, foul ball. A foul ball for a 3-1 count.
Here we go, hunt out.
And the 3-1 by Connor. Strike 2 looking. And a nice curveball by Connor Bardu going around in the count. 3-0 to a 3-2 count. As once again the Vikings need 1 more strike. The 3-2, a chopper. This one going to the third baseman, Tate Brust. The nice one-hop pick by Will Wentz. And this one belongs to the Lake Stevens Vikings. After losing their last 3 games by 1 run, the Lake Stevens Vikings outscore the Mariner Marauders by a combined score of 23-3. And as the Lake Stevens Vikings sweep the Mariner Marauders in both games of a doubleheader. And so here's the recap for both games. Again, the final score for game number 1, Lake Stevens beating Mariners 17-2. Will Wentz going 2-0 with the losing pitcher being Anthony Lopez. And here in the second game is Lake Stevens beating Mariners 6-1 with Justin Troya getting his first varsity win of his career. And Elijah White, who will be getting the loss after throwing 3 1/3 innings, allowing 6 runs. Again, the next game for both these teams, it'll be the Lake Stevens Vikings, who will be playing on April 11th at Kamiak High School against the Kamiak Knights, trying to sweep the Knights to get up to a 500 record. Or no, they're trying to sweep the Knights to get to a 500 record overall. They now have a 500 record in conference play, as they now have 3 wins and 5 losses with a 2-2 conference record, easily recovering from their 0-2 start against Cascade. While for Mariner, they are now down 3 wins and 6 losses with an 0-4 conference record. They're searching for their first conference win against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. My name is Payne Patchett, and we'll see you on April 11th at Kamiak High School as the Lake Stevens Vikings will try and keep this rhythm going against the Kamiak Knights.